because it's easier than you think. And our topic this week is finding the wisdom to give up and give in. And I think we should start with a perfect topic that someone just brought up about a breakup. And I want to talk about a breakup and burnout in this context. So thank you for bringing it up. And we'll start with that. So what is the wisdom to give up and give in a relationship, even friendship or a relationship? But sometimes it is that giving up of keeping on doing the same things, expecting a different result. Giving up trying to change the other person. Giving up trying to educate them. And then also there's the giving in. The giving into your own standards that they're not meeting. Or your own bar that you have that this person could never achieve. And I think that creates a lot of illness and disease. I've actually seen very serious illnesses from people staying in relationships way past their sell-by date. That's also the same in work. When people don't get recognized, they don't get noticed. The culture of the business is really not for them, but they stay. And there's many reasons why people stay in a job, right? It's convenient. There might not be the opportunities in your area, but mostly it's because sometimes you're a little lazy at looking for another job, or you need to really be in the headspace to start looking. But I believe that if you stay past all these things of diminishing or not getting recognized or being bullied, no one really talks about these things of being bullied at work, right? You start to exhibit in your circuitry burnout, right? And burnout will come wherever your weakest link is. Actually, anything that goes against that wisdom of your own knowing will show up in the weakest link. So I think that's really important to realize in all relationships. Someone was talking about a breakup earlier, which was amazing. Thank you for that. And sometimes you just have to give up that this is not the person for you. And the thing is, that doesn't mean that that person absolutely adores you and decides to go away and do 6 months, 3 months work on themselves. And if it's supposed to be, they'll come back. I am a great believer in that they will come back to you. And I think even with friends, I had a student who kind of gave up judging this person and told them that they just couldn't enable what they were doing anymore. I won't get into specifics. But they were playing a lot of friends, and they were just, they wanted to give up on the friendship where it was at. And a year later, that person called my student and said, I want to thank you so much. I'm a year sober, and I went into recovery. And I want to thank you so much, because I really did value our friendship. And I knew I needed to look at the core issue of why I was doing what I was doing. This person was amazed and so thankful, and that they had called and just thought it was the most amazing thing that they had ever heard. That even though it felt really difficult because this person really liked their friend, they just knew that they couldn't keep on turning a blind eye. And then, the person decided to go and excavate, and their life has become better, like a lot of people in recovery, right? They know that, but they delay it, and they delay it. So, yeah, so sometimes that giving up on where it's at can actually blossom something new. And also giving up trying to be perfect. Giving up, one of my teens that I work with has just moved house and was unpacking like late at night, first time having their own room, their own bedroom. So we know how big a deal that is. And all of a sudden, at maybe 9 or 10 at night, she decided to unpack everything and started, putting everything away, and it became perfect. And then she told me she had a breakdown, a panic attack, anxiety, and cried in her mum and dad's room. That she became OCD. So there's all these terms. Let's talk about these terms. And this is something else that I want to give up, is medicalizing natural feelings. So she said she had a panic attack, she had anxiety, she had a bit of a breakdown, and it was her OCD. So I told her a story about oh yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute. But she had said about this breakdown, and I told her a story about writers that I work with, and that some days they can't get 20 minutes written. They write one word and they just sit looking at the screen with their tea, get up, walk around, do the laundry, and nothing's happening. And then there's other days they flip open their computer and 18 hours comes out of them, 12 hours comes out of them. And they call that being in the zone. But for a writer, you have to keep in the routine of writing. So if something's coming out of here, something isn't coming out of here, you're opening up your computer to write. I says, what if you were just in the zone the other night? And you were excited about putting your stuff away, and you had your own room for the first time, and it was so overwhelming, and you didn't know how to process all those emotions, and the room looked so nice. And but what you did was kill the joy of it by then telling yourself that you'd OCD and you were had anxiety and you took this panic attack because you just were in the zone. And she said, wow, yeah. So she gave up in that moment, labeling herself with these pretty intense diagnosis. And I think we must be Be very cautious about what we say about ourselves. So someone has asked to, can you talk about the heart never being broken and it really is the ego? Actually, I don't believe that because I don't teach the ego teachings. That's why I don't really teach yoga in the duality aspect. I don't teach the teachings of the ego as some kind of separate scapegoat. I do believe that the heart is broken. There is a thing called broken heart syndrome. There's a Japanese, it's named after a Japanese doctor. And when you are brokenhearted of not being able to see someone because they've died, people can actually die from that. And it is an experience they're having. And it's the love they had for the other person that is no longer having to be in this physical realm, but they are just devastated. So I don't really want to talk about the ego in that regard. I believe the ego is not in duality. I believe it is an investment in your character to shine the essence of who you are in this physical body, this carnation, and beam that out to the world through what we call the ego center. There's not two of them, they're not dueling, and that's a duality aspect in yoga. I kind of teach non-dualism, so it's not something that I will go down the rabbit hole with here. So giving up how you look to others, trying to control how people perceive you. Right? It's exhausting. It's exhausting trying to go around everyone. So just give up. Give up doing that. And sit with how that makes you feel, not being in control of how everybody sees you. That's the work for you. That's your work. Give up trying to change people's minds. Trying to change people's minds. Oh, you should do pause and joy. You should do this. You never hear me saying that. This community has been built on other people seeing it work with my students who are from mothers to lawyers to doctors to directors to writers to actors to lawyers. I have a lot of lawyers. Give up trying to change people's minds and trying to save them. If they're interested in something that you're doing, they'll go and seek it. But stop trying to make them different. Let them be on that journey themselves. And all this wondering about what people think of you, just give up, because it's a waste of your headspace. Maybe wonder what you think about you and why you think that way about yourself. And is that accurate all the time? Am I labeling myself? Am I pigeonholing myself? Now here's another one. Here's a really good one. Give up making the effort for others that don't make the effort for you. Let's take a sip of tea. Give up making the effort for others that don't reciprocate. They don't show up for you. But the question is, why? Why am I making all this effort? Do they get discounted tickets to concerts? Is the sex really good? What is it? Why am I making all this effort? Do they have a status and position that, just them glancing your way makes you feel good? I'm not saying it has to be transactional, but when you are bitching about it being imbalanced and it not being reciprocated or them using you, then sometimes it's just giving in to, I don't know why I do that. I'll have to sit with it. But I do like a good moan about it. Giving to get. Thank you, Bassanio. Totally. Yes. Giving to get. It never, ever works. It might work once or twice until they catch on. And giving to get can also be the fawn. It can be the fawner in you. Fawning. To get noticed, to get teacher's pet. Give in to not being liked. Give in. Yeah, I give in. I give in. I think there's an honesty there when you just give in to what is. Like sometimes you have friends and there's people that don't really like you. They just, you're in the mix, but you just can't change this person's mind. You remind them of someone. Or maybe there's some past life stuff there that has went unresolved and they just don't trust you. You'll never change. So sometimes you have to give in to, you have the same friends, but there just won't be that closeness. Giving in to your resistance. People who do yoga know this daily. You give in to, I don't want to do it, I don't want to get on my mat, and then you give in and you end up on your mat. It's a natural part of the process of having self-discipline in a home practice. So giving in. Also, I hear a lot of talk about meditation and the chatterbox and the chatter. And I don't know how to break this to you, but there is no VIP Disney pass that you can buy that is going to put that chatter on mute for you. And it's actually the first run of the ladder for all meditation. And then there's the whole ladder. So giving into the thought forms, the chatterbox, the ticker tape, the monkey mind. How many books have been written about the monkey mind and the chatterbox? I don't care about the monkey mind and the chatterbox. I'd rather be talking about nirvana kalpa and samadhi and all the versions of samadhi that you can have in meditation. But we seem to be fixated on talking about the lowest first run of the ladder stumbling block to meditate. rather than the entire practice and where the eyes go and where the energy goes and the experiences of that energy. Also kind of giving into help, needing help. You know, perhaps it would be good for you to go to a meditation group where people who are seasoned meditators will go into that frequency very quickly and you can piggyback. You can go in with them. How do you know you're in that group? Well, when you open up your eyes, 20 minutes has went past and it feels like 3 minutes. But if you're in a group with people who are also talking in their head about how they look meditating and how we're all meditating, and then, you know, you're in a junior class and you need something a little bit more seasoned to get you up that ladder. Giving into sometimes what I'm doing isn't working. It's just not working. I keep doing the same thing, and you know, I the other day I was on a call with a student and they were telling me about the practice, and I said, well, I think you should change your practice because it's weak. Because I'm not seeing any changes in you pushing through your resistance. And I want you to half your practice in half, but actually put the intensity up. And then they were able to tell me that they were just doing that because they didn't want to spend time with their partner. The honesty. Giving in to the honesty, right? Giving into saying, this is really hard. Is it supposed to be this hard? Or maybe I'm just kind of playing around here, making it harder than it needs to be. Giving into always working on my healing. That to me is secondary. It is not the primary focus. And there is a reason for that. Because that will always be your primary focus. What a bummer to be going through your whole life working on healing. When do you get to launch your businesses and do your ideas and creatively become what you want to be here? When does that happen? I have so many people over 25 years who came to me with some fixated illness, disease, sickness. I said, you ready to give it up? Ready to give up being sick of being sick? And that's usually when people are ready, because they're sick of being sick. But sometimes there's an investment in being sick. And you have to know what that investment is. You know, some people don't know who they are without it. Hey, baby. So, giving into, is there a solution? Is there a solution? Is there something that I haven't done? Yes, write them down. I'm going to be posting it on YouTube anyway, so you can go back and listen to it on the YouTube channel. Giving into doing things always the same way, even with your practice, any personal trainer will tell you this. You can't keep doing the same exercises because the muscle gains memory to know, and it just won't be effective. So you have to change up even the body's exercise regime. It's the same with here. You're so tricky. You're so sneaky. I'm doing everything I'm doing. I'm doing everything I can, Patty. No, you're not. Maybe just say give up, give in, and maybe sit with, I'm not doing everything I can do. And let's see what emerges in the next week from that statement. Try it. Stop defending your position at lowballing yourself. It doesn't make any sense. So the wisdom, and this is all wisdom that you're flexing here. This is all the wisdom to know thyself. Because many times we pretend we don't have it in us. We pretend that we're doing everything that we can do. We pretend. And those of you that are mothers know this, you know, that the little kid that play acts, pretending, oh, it hurts. Can I be off school today? Sometimes that doesn't change as an adult, and we have to be mindful of it. That's why when you do yoga's not about asana. It's not about poses. I mean, in the 8-limb system, the whole physical practice is only one limb. What are the other 7? Interested? See you on the 24th. It's about focus. 8 drishtis. 8 soft gazes. Doesn't matter what pose you're in. Knowing when I'm not pushing myself and being lazy. Knowing when I didn't have a good night's sleep last night and I'm tired and I need to just be in the more basic pose. Knowing when you're showing off and you're going to creak something to be seen in the class. Does everybody see me? Just how fabulous I am? When you're competing with the person 3 over and diagonal. It's an incubator, a yoga class. It's an incubator to see how you think, what your tells are and what your gives are. It's an incubator for you to focus for 60 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you're doing, 90 minutes. So that when you go out there in the world, something's changed. Yes, humility is a virtuous path indeed. And that's kind of like giving in, right? Having the humility to be like, well, you know, I gave it my best shot. And the thing is, when you get, I don't know how many of you know this, but when you give in to something and you give it away, if it is supposed to be, it will come back in a different form or through a different person in a different way. a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks later. Even when you lose something and you give it away, sometimes you find it a month later, a week later. But how did that ruin your day? How did that put you in a bad mood? Did you shout at someone at work? What domino effect did it have? So these are all the aspects of knowing thyself, as Socrates says. Know thyself and to thyself be true. Be true. And sometimes you have to give up not being true. Maybe the people that you're hanging around with, maybe the business that you're in, you can't really be, your true self as in, and I don't mean this combative arguing that everybody's in. I mean, maybe it isn't the right place for you to flourish. Maybe you're supposed to open up your own business or be in a different culture that recognizes your skills, because you have to recognize it first and then go and look, right? Give up the idea of maybe even working for a company and work for yourself. Get excited about that. Give in to the fear that you can't do it. Find ways that will build your confidence and collapse those aspects, because they're always going to come up. So it's so good to see you all. I will post this. And that was a good conversation today. The wisdom to know when to give up and give in. And thank you for your interaction and your suggestions. Right? Love you. And I will see you all very soon. Excellent. Yeah, inhale that love. Yes. Thank you for all popping on and us spending some time together. It's good for us to find our little piece of the internet that we can pause, because it's easier than you think. Should maybe put that into the world leaders, right? It's easier than you think, harmonizing.